am here today with a lot of my friends from Life 180, and we are talking about what is going on in the life insurance space right now. Obviously, over the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that, as we've been doing these talks, there's been the things happening with World Financial Group. In that mix with the whole lawsuit around World Financial Group and all the conversations that have come about with IUL. I've had some other people come forward about PHP. We haven't really done a lot of video talk on that yet. I'm sure that'll come soon enough. It's kind of, funneled out to become a conversation about just IMOs and what are the different options for life insurance agents in this business, because there are thousands and tens of thousands of life insurance agents joining the business every single year from all sorts of different places. I think, we could even talk today, guys, a little bit about like what's going on in the real estate market with all that stuff getting turned on its head with commissions, and the fact that I think, there's some reports saying that commissions are going to be cut by 40 to 60% for real estate agents, which means it's almost not going to be a livable wage for the average real estate agent. Right. And so, for the people that are wildly successful in that space, they'll probably gobble up a lot more of the market share. They'll leverage their systems and clout, and then they'll win the game. Unfortunately, I think there's going to be a lot of unintended consequences behind that, I guess, result of, the decision in court. But I think it's also going to funnel a lot of people into the life insurance space. And it's interesting because and I'm totally going down this rabbit hole now, but it's interesting because in 2008, PHP actually built, in 2008, 9, and 10, they built their business off of recruiting top end real estate agents that were leaving the industry after the Great Recession and the housing crash. Right. And so it just goes to show there's definitely a correlation between the two. I do think it's you got to be careful. I think there are too many people getting into the business for all the wrong reasons. And today, what I'd love to talk about is, what does it look like joining the business? Because you guys, some of you have been here longer than others. Some of you have a lot of experience. Matt Seibert has been in the business for what, 8 years, 10 years, something like that?
Decade. Yeah.
Decade. And, has gone from being an IUL guy for 8 years to now, on our team, and he finally saw the light, and he's, going the whole life route. The other Matt and Ian, and Charles, relatively just getting started. But it's awesome to see the different angles you guys are taking. And I think it'd be really, really good value, because you're all doing similar things, yet different things to drive success. And I'm sure, as business owners, as agents that are wanting to help people, that are wanting to serve people and help people solve their financial problems and educate people, at the end of the day, this is all still a business too, right? Like, so this isn't mission work. We got to get paid. We got to make money. We got to at least pay the bills and make sure, I kind of say money follows value. So if you can figure out how you can add the most value to the world, I love this business, because I believe your income is directly correlated to the value that you put out there into the world. And what better place to be able to do that than making an impact in people's lives and families, and, generational wealth potential. And so that said, let me say this, and then we'll get going. There's a lot of things you could do. There's a lot of different perspectives. There's a lot of different angles on, recruiting schematics, the FFLs of the world, and this juice box thing where, people are selling leads, companies are selling leads, and using that as a way to recruit people, being like, hey, just join our IMO and we're going to give you leads, or we'll, sell you leads, or you get discounted leads, or you get, a bonus on leads when you first start, and all this stuff. And my stance has always been a pretty hard line. I'm not going to sell leads. And I think leads are horrible. I've never bought a lead in my life. I've created leads. I've paid for paid traffic. We've done it that way, but 99% of what I've ever done has always been organic. And, it's a slow way, but to me, it's the way that I can control the most, and it's the way that I think I have the ability to grow my business in an organic way that is authentic to me. I'm never going to have to try to sell out or do anything else. And that said, I also realize there's a place to do both. Like if people need traffic, they're buying leads and having those calls can be a great way to cut your teeth. Great way to start having conversations and like really seeing kind of like getting a perspective of what's going on in people's minds, where they at. But it's also kind of hard when you're first buying leads and you're not really proficient at what you're doing yet, right? And so now all of a sudden, if you don't understand these products inside and out, and you really don't understand all the different problems it can solve, the only thing you're going to be able to do with a lead is sell them an objective, and then I think you're selling them short, right? And so that said, let's do this. Let's I would love to make it so we just kind of do this round robin, because you all at the end of the day joined Life 180. I would love to hear your experience with leads. I would love to hear why you're doing your business the way you're doing it now, what's working, what's not. Let's get real vulnerable. Let's get real about the struggles and the good, the bad, the ugly, all the things. Because and if you not comfortable going there, just say pass and we'll pass. But as you guys know, like I want this to be a real value add to everybody watching it. And I think you guys are like a shining example of, no matter how much experience you have, you're willing to put it out there. You're all mastering it. And I think I've always said the best way to learn is to teach. And I really, truly believe the best way to become a better agent is to create content, because it forces you to master this stuff. Because if you're going to put yourself out there publicly to it, you better know your stuff. Otherwise, you're going to get exposed pretty quickly, right? And so that's that. So that said, I'm making Mr. Seibert go first.
Well, I've had the pleasure of experiencing pretty much everything you could experience in this industry. Spent the first half with the WFG model, where their strategy of getting leads is through recruiting and then going to their friends and family. They don't believe in marketing. They don't believe in buying leads. You have to follow the system. Recruit people, go through their market. And then when I left that side, I went into another company where they're predominantly just you buy leads. In fact, don't talk to your friends and family. They would make fun of you for doing that. And it's all about you got to buy leads, buy leads, buy leads. And I'm really grateful that I actually got to experience both to realize they both kind of suck. So the reason when I came over Life 180, what really was appealing was it was the first company where they didn't try to conform you to some ideology of how you need to get leads. It's, practically however you want to run your business, however you want to build it. However, I mean, if you look at Chris, when I saw Chris is his organic leads that come in from his YouTube and social media, I thought to myself, every freaking agent would want that business. And then when I remember, Chris, when I went to your house and I heard you make a phone call with some of the leads that are coming in, and I thought just the conversation, it was just organic, and the trust was already built. And I thought to myself, I know that's going to probably take a little bit longer, but it'd be worth it. And, now fast forward, we've had agents like Matt, Michael, Ian, Charles, everybody's creating their site, even Jeff. I know Matt had some leads come in, Ian had some leads come in, Michael had some leads come in from the website, and all organic. They didn't have to pay for leads or anything like that. And I think ultimately that is the best way to do it. I mean, I can argue, I'll debate anybody. It might take a little bit longer, but I think at the end of the day, if you were to ask any agent, they would prefer that type of business. And the fact that Life 180, we actually show you a path how to do it. We have examples of people doing it, and we can kind of coach you and help you create your organic leads through authority platforms, social media, branding, and stuff like that. I think that's where everybody should head. And I think that, with the lead regulation coming down, I think everything that's just positioned, that's what you should be doing, especially with social media, everybody creating content. You'd be crazy not to take advantage of that and get into that space for sure.
I love it. That's amazing. Mr. Kamke, how about you? You've been doing this a bit, kind of in different ways, different people, different markets. What are your thoughts? Have you ever dealt with leads, or have you?
I've not done leads. I did secondhand do leads. My dad, who'd been in insurance a long time, he did leads back when I was like in high school. So I got to see the, in the home of how they were painted as this like perfect solution. And, I think after a few rounds, my dad realized this wasn't what they were advertised to be. And he always said, like, when he'd get a phone call from, a provider and say, hey, we got leads. You're like, oh, they're promising me more leads in another color, some acronym like that, or some, thing like that. So never done leads myself. I've been basically, part-time. We're starting our 6th year this year doing this around the infinite banking, and our mentors that got us into the industry, they were fairly focused just on infinite banking. There wasn't a whole lot beyond that. Their method and their model was to be doing webinars, to be doing maybe even in-person events where you would do speaking for like a Saturday morning from 9 to noon, teach a lot of concepts, and then you'd meet with people after that. So we modeled a lot of that. I've been very consistent in the last 5 or so years, posting on social media, going live. I didn't really have a YouTube channel until I just recently joined Life 180 at the end of last year. But for me, it was the consistency of being aligned with your message, knowing what's on your heart, what you want to share, how you want to help people, and being consistent, putting out thoughts and content and training and information. And it stimulates people, and they reach out. And, I've had people that I've known for 10, 15 years reach out like, I didn't know you're doing that. Hey, I've been looking for that. I want to know somebody that I can trust. So for me, it's just been, doing some of the basics, right? Just making content, putting yourself out there, screwing it up. There's a lot of times it doesn't work out a whole lot for you, but the more you do it, the more you put yourself out there, the more people start to come your way. And, for me, joining Life 180 was a godsend. We were needing to change insurance agencies that we were working with. We vetted out several, and, Chris, you aligned so much with us on the personal level, on, obviously the marketing side. We knew that we could get the extra help that we had been looking for on how do we position ourselves, how do we create content, what's the best thing for us. And that's what I love about the agency is all the guys on this panel, we all do it a little bit different. We all have a different background. We all have a different message. And you and Matt and the whole team have been very supportive of everything that we've been doing and encouraging us to find our voice in the way that we want to do it and, go run with it, go help people in that way. So I've loved our time here and what you've helped us learn and just develop our skills to just help more people is really, my experience here. So it's been great.
I love it. That's amazing. I am lost on my thing here. There we go. So that's awesome. I love it. I love hearing these stories, just the different perspectives already. And Ian, I'm going to have you go. Because I met Ian. For everybody who doesn't know, I met Ian at a World Financial Group event, and so he's got that background, and he was just kind of getting rolling there, and I guess we found him just in time. But like, I'd love to hear kind of your perspective, because you came in with a bit of a different perspective, like, and just share it. It'd be awesome. You're muted.
Thanks, Chris. So right before we met, actually, I'd been working with a coach who had developed a 7-figure coaching business doing high-ticket sales. And I had learned a bunch of skills in the area of developing leads. That's kind of the direction I was moving in. And his thing was to buy Facebook ads, build a little bit of an authority platform and buy Facebook ads. And then I stumbled into WFG. And the whole thing is getting into your warm market and soliciting to people that you already know, your friends and family. And it was very sales focused. It was extremely sales focused, not product knowledge, not how is this really going to help the person in the future? What are the potential upsides? What are the potential downsides? It was just like sell to all your friends and family. And I just wasn't comfortable with that. It's not that I'm not comfortable selling something to my friends and family, but I was not comfortable selling something that I didn't believe in to my friends and family. And I was never, with the amount of product knowledge that was given to me and that was taught to me, it never gave me any sort of confidence in the products they were selling. So my, in the last few months, starting a YouTube channel, starting to put content out. It's actually been a long time coming, since before we ever met. And I'm finding there's so much value in just the process of creating content. You know, Chris, you said the teaching is the greatest form of learning. That's a quote from Socrates. And I believe in that wholeheartedly. And I'm living that and experiencing that. As I'm putting out more content, I have to do more research, deeper research. In the comment section of my videos, I'm having to talk to people and deal with comments and other people's opinions and ideas. And it's honestly, I'm really grateful for it. It's thus far, the people that I've been interacting with have been very cordial, and it's forced me to up my game, to really know what I'm talking about. There's no, when you put yourself out there on a video on YouTube, like there's no hiding. Like what you say is what you say. It's right there. And it's forced me to learn the product better and to develop a stronger belief about what I'm doing through studying and learning more about just the products that I'm working with and like the principles behind it. I find that there's kind of two skill sets. One skill set is selling, and one skill set is learning, that are very important, kind of where I'm at in this point in my development. And I think for a lot of people who are agents and who are selling life insurance and who are doing this, selling and teaching, and I lean more towards the teaching, because I go back to that parable from the Bible. If you teach a man to fish, teaching is very powerful. It has ripple effects that you're going to be unaware of and that you're not going to see. Selling somebody is just, it's a different thing, and there is a necessity to be able to convey your point and to try to influence people in an ethical way. I believe there's merit to that. But for me, the teaching aspect of it has been so powerful and helping to educate people. And in doing so, first I need to educate myself. So it's been a very beautiful growth process, and not without its share of growing pains. It's taken a lot longer to develop the leads than I thought it was. Than I thought it was going to be. If I'm being completely honest, I did not reach my goals for this month, not even close, because I thought it was just going to happen a lot faster. And yeah, that's, I guess, if there was one pain that I've felt, or like growing pain, it's that it's the organic style of generating leads. It's taken a lot longer than I would have thought. And and that's
it does. I mean, like when I first launched a YouTube channel, it took a lot longer than I thought too. But now, if you went back and if I had the ability to go in a time machine and talk to myself when I was first starting, and talk about the fact that like all the days that I had questions and that I wanted to give up, and the time that I actually stopped making content very consistently for like 6 months, 7 months, I would have slapped myself and said, dude, what are you doing? This is the most important thing you could be doing right now. Why are you not doing it? All right. So before we go any further, I want to get to everybody, and we'll go through this. I want to talk to Mr. John Sent here. A new person in the comments. John, I haven't seen you comment before, I don't think. I'm going to go back through here, and I want to see this. So let's just go through them comment by comment here. So he said the leads are weak. The leads are weak. You're weak. So that comment alone, John, just tells me that you're just all like, you probably are like a boiler room, coffees for closers, Glengarry Glen Ross kind of dude. I don't know, but like that statement alone, you might want to retract it, because it kind of makes you come off looking like an a-hole. That's just a statement. What does organic even mean? Organic means you're going to put content out there. Actually, I think Matt wanted to tell you organic means vegetables with no pesticides. Organic means you're creating content and you're putting it out there, and people are finding you. People are choosing to work with you. People are attracted to the value that you're creating. Therefore, there's an alignment of natural alignment with values between you and the person, because they're watching your content. Maybe they've consumed a bunch of it. Most of the people that call me, when I try to get them to slow down, they're like, no, I'm just ready to go. I've watched 40 hours of your content already. So let's just get going, you know? And even then I still have to kind of get them to pump the brakes, right? Because it's a matter of getting people to really, really understand things much more in depth. You know, so you say you've heard the word organic 3 times in 5 minutes. You know, I guess, you know, it's because when you're building organic content, you're putting yourself out there for who you are, what you believe in, what your values are, what your beliefs are, and people are going to find you. And the cool part is it forces you to become more. Creating content is going to force you. It's going to expose you, you know, to your weaknesses, which is great, I think, because it forces us to get better. It forces us to learn more. It forces us to learn faster. It keeps you accountable. When you say you're going to do something, when you let people know, hey, I'm going to launch a video every week, or 2 videos a week, or in my case, like 5 videos plus a week. Like, if you do that, there's an accountability level that comes with that. And I think super important, right? It forces you to become who you need to be to get to where you want to go. So you guys criticize about talking to friends and family. And then Jeff Kamke talked about how people he knows said, I didn't know you were doing that. You know, that's a different, you know, kind of scenario. I have no problem talking to friends and family at all. I think talking to friends and family is a huge part of this. If you've ever watched any of my content, I say, if you believe in what we do, if you believe, like, okay, I'm going to take a step back before I answer that. Different people have different emotional blocks around friends and family, right? Like, because sometimes when you first get started in this business, you know, I think most people know the failure rate is pretty high. 93% of agents are going to fail in the first 3 years. And I think people want to see you have a little success. And it's kind of like, it's hard to sell to the people that are closest to you for a lot of people. For me, that wasn't the case, but I'm never going to criticize somebody if that is the case. I do think that you have a responsibility to start to learn this stuff so inside and out that you believe in it so much that you not talking to friends and family you feel guilty about, because you believe in it so much that you know that if something happened to you, or something happened to somebody that you love, you know, a family member or a friend, that you'd feel guilty, right? Because you know you could have made a difference. And, you know, I never had a problem talking to friends and family. I have made mistakes myself, not being bold enough with friends and family, not getting them to take action because they didn't want to do it. And, you know, I've shared the story on multiple videos. My best friend died at 51 years old, and he and I had a conversation. He had $250,000 of life insurance, but he was a $300,000 a year income earner, right? And so, you know, that's a kick in the gut, you know, and that's, you know, it was hard going to his daughter's wedding when she was 22 after he died, a couple of years after he died. And, you know, hearing, you know, that his wife had to sell their big house and move into a little condo and is back to work, you know, making $60,000 a year just to get by, kind of deal. You know what I mean? And I know that had I pushed harder, I could have had an impact on that, right? And that, for my best friend in the world, that I feel horrible about it, right? And that's something that I had to go through, right? And so, you know, it's a fool me once, shame on me, or there's no shame, I guess, but it's fool me once, you know, fool me twice. Like, I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes that's just how we learn. And John Maxwell wrote the book, Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Lose, but he crossed out the lose and put learn. You know, you just learn from these situations. You learn from the mistakes, and as long as you're moving forward and you're growing and you're constantly trying to get better and help people, that's what it is. I'm going to let Matt say something in a second, but the thing about that I have a problem with the friends and family thing is the fact that, like, IMOs like WFG, PHP, PFA, and all these things, their whole model is an internal consumption model. It's not a matter of like, hey, you're just talking to friends and family. If you're talking to friends and family and you've done the work ahead of time and you're a product expert, and or you're aligned with people that are, then and you trust them and you've built that real trust, and there's no manipulation around people and guilt around people, and just like this whole just follow the system and success leaves clues and all these cliche BS statements that make me want to stab somebody in the eye. Like that's the stuff that's a problem. It becomes the blind leading the blind. And so I think you absolutely should get to know these products well enough and have them yourself and live them and believe in them enough that you feel guilty not talking to your friends and family. But it shouldn't be one of those things where you get in and you have this obligation to get them in front of, you know, a mentor and a rep, like an upline and all these things, and you give up control of these relationships to these people and all that stuff. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. So anyway, I digress. Matt, go for it.
Yeah. So I want to, so that argument he's making that we're criticizing talking to family and friends, and then Jeff was talking about, you know, how people that, you know, his friends and family have reached out to him. It's just a faulty argument. Like, we're not even talking about the same thing. There is a very big difference between when you join a company like WFG and they tell you, make a list of all your family and friends, and we're going to call them and book appointments, and we're going to sell them on this, and you're going to make all this money, whatever that process is, versus someone like Jeff sharing his journey, sharing what he's learned, providing value to his network on these different platforms, and then having his friends and family naturally reach out to him. Mm-hmm. It's just a huge difference. Like, it's not even a comparison. All right. So I just wanted to address that, because like naturally having family and like leading by example, and then naturally having your friends and family want to follow in your footsteps. Like, I'm going to be setting up a policy for my girlfriend very soon, my brother, my mom, my dad. But I set my own stuff up first. I started sharing content and posting it on social media, just letting people know, like, hey, here's how these things work. This is what it's doing for my life. And it just naturally happens, versus Chris telling me to, hey, Matt, write down all your family and friends, and you and I get on a call and I'll show you how it's done. Dude, totally different.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and once again, I have zero problem if somebody comes into the business and they're like, there's different ways. I just don't believe in saying this is how you have to do anything, right? I believe you should come in, and whatever whatever you're going to be comfortable with, you have to understand the good, the bad, and the ugly around it. I don't believe in building a quote unquote system that's so locked tight that you are forced to go in a specific direction and get like just plowed through effectively. I have no problem. When I first got in the business, I had to do a Project 200. You know what I mean? Where I had to write out my friends and family. And guess what? I struggled at first. I had a hard time emotionally getting through that, right? And being like, I'm worried about calling this person, because what are they going to do? They're going to tell me no, or they're going to have some opinion about who I am and why am I in the life insurance business. Because remember, when I got in the life insurance business in 2009, I was just finishing a 7-year stint as a professional poker player, right? So I went from being like a professional gambler, effectively in most people's eyes, to being like a life insurance agent, that all of a sudden I'm going to like, you know, like that was a big leap, right? And so like everybody is coming from a different place. Everybody's got a different background. Everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different motive. Everybody has different goals and objectives of what they want to do with this business, what they want their life to look like. They have a different reason they join the industry. You know, and it's, I don't think you can create a blanketed system. And the challenge when you look at World Financial Group, PHP, PFA, and all these companies, it's all about the bling. It's all about the passive income and the business opportunity. And if you listen to all the things, it's me. Look what's in it for me, right? Look what's in it for you to make all your money. And if you could just do all this stuff, you'll make enough money. How about we create a system that's in it to actually go out and serve people and educate people? You know, I mean, not to sound like a dick here, but like this John Cent guy, you don't want to give out the juice, dude. Like, just get lost. Like, you're not going to find a person online in this business that gives away more free information than me. you know, like, so the fact that you say that is just like the most arrogant, like ignorant, naive. You're a troll. That's all. Like, that's it. It's it. It's that simple. I'm fired up this week, by the way, guys. I'm getting like fights with people all week.
I was gonna say you're getting fired up
like,
right now, Chris.
But like seriously, like it's just dumb. Like, don't make stupid comments. Come on here and be educated. Like, you know, go work with Juicebox. They'll sell you some leads. New York Life makes agents set it up. Okay, yeah. So here's the deal, though. Like, no problem at all. Like, if somebody came in here, like, and that's what they need to do. Well, I do believe everybody should at some point in time work their list of people. But I don't believe when Charles Newton joins our agency that the first thing he should do is go hammer his friends and family. Because what I believe is the first thing Charles Newton should do is spend some time and learn what the hell he's doing, so he can actually add value. So we can add value to his family. So we can build the relationships and build trust with the people that he's working with. So even if he doesn't understand it, he's doing and following a system that's authentic and real, right? It's not manipulative, right? And like, that's the problem with this business, is we got too many people out there that don't even realize they're getting manipulated, that are in these systems that are just geared to take advantage of, you know, the 50 percentile. You know what I mean? And if you could do that, then you're going to crush it. You know what I mean? You just are. I don't like your comment. It's not that I don't like your comments. It just makes you look like a moron. Like it just, like, your comments don't even make any sense. You know, like you're John, you're obviously emotional about the sense that, you know, you're connected and you have an emotional confirmation bias going on with whatever model that you're doing. If it's leads, your comments about the leads and you know, telling people they're weak because the leads aren't working tells me enough about your character that I don't want you in my life. That's fine. And if it's something else, if it's you're involved with the World Financial Group and you're you know, on the confirmation. Okay, so he's saying he's tried leads and they suck. So if it's that you're now doing the World Financial Group model or the PHP model, and you're doing the friends and family thing, which I'm gathering is the case because, you know, you're trying to defend it. I'm all about it. I'm all about the fact that at some point in time you should do it. He's saying that he's confused. Am I confusing people, guys?
No, I don't. I think I don't know what he's thinking, but we have no problems talking with friends and family. It's just how you go about doing it.
I don't even understand where he got the criticism from, because, you know, it's like we were
criticizing. We were basically saying, like, you know, not wanting to talk to friends and family, like, because there's an element of, like, some people want to get into this business and they don't want to talk to friends and family. I've done videos on this a lot. We've talked about this already. Like, the challenge is my take on this. I'm just going to put my take blanket on the table. If you're not willing to talk to friends and family, then you probably are not ready to be in this business because you don't believe in it enough. Okay. I'm going to just say that. And when you first join a company, you probably don't believe in this enough to talk to friends and family. Like, unless you got into this business because you had a lifetime tragedy where you lost a family member and you didn't have life insurance and you had the value of it and blah, 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 right? So you got into the business because you had an emotional connection with the life insurance game. When I got into this business to get me through it for a year before I was going to go join financial planning firm with my father-in-law. 6 months into it, I realized, like, whoa, I love this. I'm never going to do anything else. I fell in love with IUL, ironically. And then I realized, like, whoa, that was a mistake. And the more I grew, the longer I've been here, the more I love what we do, the more important I think what we do is. And the more I'm able to get out of my own way, get past my own ego, and just try to serve people, not worrying about what's in it for me. And, you know, yeah, different people, everybody's got a different story. So I'm not gonna sit here and judge anybody for having a challenge talking to their friends and family, because I was that guy, you know. But I will say this: if I know that the fastest path to doing to being successful is starting off with friends and family, I better make sure I trust the people I'm working with. I better make sure my values and my beliefs are in alignment with the people I'm working with, because that's real mentorship. Bringing, like, the thing about the friends and family and the WFG, PHP, PFA, GFI, is that the new one that's going on? Like, all these different things. Like, the thing about those is that it's all positioned under mentorship and leadership and guidance. And no, it's not. It's just manipulation. It's just like, they're just giving you a system and telling you what to do. They're not really teaching you. They may teach you how to make money into whatever in their system, be successful in the system. But the whole system, the whole crux, the foundation of that system is just getting people to follow the system and not really becoming any more, like, not growing, not adding more value to the world. It's maybe teaching you how to follow the system, edify your upline, sell based on the script, follow a slide deck presentation and whatever. That's the problem. So anyway, I'm done. Who's next? I think he is too. Yeah. Matt, did you go?
No, not yet.
Go.
I'll try and keep this as short as I can, because I could talk about this for a very long time.
I'm putting a 5-minute timer on your ass.
Yeah. Just kick me out if I go past it. So, being somebody that built an entire marketing business from a YouTube channel, I know firsthand how powerful it is to create content, and with so many different ways. Like, and it's something that one of the things I would tell all of my clients too, because I taught a lot of these different ways to generate leads and stuff, is that I always told them the number one way to generate leads for any business is content, long term. Now, short term, it takes a little while to gain some momentum, but when you have the right system in place, you'd actually be amazed at how fast it can happen. And I just want to give a quick example, because I'm a huge fan of YouTube. I started a new YouTube channel for this business maybe 3 months ago, give or take. And I'm looking at my dashboard right now. In the last 28 days, 3,100 views, almost 350 public watch hours, 141 subscribers, all by just sharing my journey. That's it. Just sharing what I'm learning about this stuff, how I'm implementing it in my own life, right? Like, it can work. You can get results a lot faster sometimes than you might think, as long as you're consistent with it. That's number one. Number two, I do believe, especially in a business like this, where people are making life-changing, major financial decisions, it is extremely important, one, to know what you're doing, okay? Really understand these products, and not have such a strong focus on sales, because we're not selling potions and lotions and protein powders and stuff like that, right? These are financial products that can have major consequences for people. So you really want to take your time, know what you're doing. But there's also an education process that is involved as well. And if we focus on providing value and educating people versus making a sale, coming up with a really good sales presentation, I can promise you this, guys, you don't need any of that. When you focus on putting content out, sharing your knowledge, sharing your skill set, providing value to people, answering questions, and just sharing your journey, by the time you start generating leads and people book appointments with you, it's literally no sales process whatsoever, or not even close to what a lot of people teach. Like, by the time when someone has consumed so much of your content, and then they went out of their way to go through your funnel, maybe they got one of your lead magnets. That's how I generate leads. I've generated about 52 leads so far, 2 appointments since I started this channel. And so 2 people have gone out of the way after they consume my content to book an appointment. What do you think that conversation is going to be like by the time I get on the call? Like, do I really need to, go Glenn Ross style, boiler room style, and have all these ways to handle objections and stuff like that, and make sure that I go through a specific set of steps to close? No. At that point, it's really just, I'm asking questions like to figure out what their situation is. What is it that sparked your interest? Is there something specific, a specific problem you're looking to resolve, whatever? And, it becomes more about getting to know them, what the person's goals, situation, finances, and then putting a plan in place, if it makes sense, to help them reach their goals. That's it. Like, but there's no sales process involved when someone has consumed so much of your content already. You've already answered so many of their questions. They're already sold on the concept. Like, and that's why, like, when I see like these special marketing concepts and whatever, like what is it? What's the one that Curtis does? The MPI, TFRA, like the LERP, like all these dumb things. When it's just confusing to people. It's misleading. You don't have to do that. Like, I don't want people to be surprised that what I can do for them is a dividend paying whole life insurance by the time I get on the call. Like, I don't want to hide that. I don't want to make it sound like anything else than it already is. By the time I speak to people, I want people to know exactly what I do, what I can do for them, the problems that I can solve. So there is no sales process whatsoever. You just have to be willing to put in the time and effort to create the content. And here's the thing, it's not as hard as you think it is either. Like, you're already learning, or hopefully learning, how these things work. Why not share that with people? And over time, when you're consistent, it's going to build on itself. Like, every piece of content you create becomes a 24/7 salesperson for you, your brand, your business. And the more you do that, the more it compounds, the faster you get results. And it's like, any leads that you generate from your content, they are going to absolutely be the best leads you'll ever generate in your business, 100%, because they see you as the expert already. Like, and I'll end on this just to prove this point. Like, in my marketing business with that channel, I get appointments where one of the first things people say to me, they say, "Is this Matty Ice from the video I watched?" Yeah, that's me. You don't need a sales process. You need to focus on providing value to people, educate people about how these things work, and you'll naturally get your family and friends to be interested, your network, and whoever else is finding your content organically. Like, to me, there's no better way to build a business like this long term than a YouTube channel. I'll end on that.
Awesome stuff. I love it. I love how fired up we're all getting today. I don't know. Like, I'm just having one of those days, like one of those weeks. I just am not putting up with anybody's crap this week. So anybody wants to get in a fight with me, this is the week to do it.
Let's go. WFG, GFI, let's bring it. Come on, let's go.
This is the week. Marissa, you asked what software we're using. I don't know. I don't have an affiliate code for this, but I'll tell you. It's fine, We are using Restream.io. I love this software. It's great to like do screen recordings. It's great to do like meetings like this. You can multicast on different platforms. So free plugin for Restream.io, I suppose. But it's a good platform. And then what am I doing? What software? Film and edit. We're not really editing. It's just editing. The Restream allows you to kind of like do this on the fly, which is cool. So it makes it fun. But anyway, let's keep moving. Charles, I love this guy, Charles. So Charles is like, he's never done this before. Charles, have you ever had like an online business or anything?
I had 2 yoga studios before. So
yeah, 2 yoga
studios.
Leads,
and I did paid ads and
okay.
We had 27 employees. So
okay, so pretty good size.
Yeah.
So it's been fun to watch you because you come in and like you're working a full-time job.
Yep.
And now you basically have 2 full-time jobs because you're doing this
Correct.
not part-time. Like, and you're on a mission, and as busy as you are naturally, busier than most people, you're still getting more done and creating content and adding more value and doing things for yourself. And you're so abundance mindset where you're like, oh, I'm doing this thing and it's great for me. If it works for me, like, let's just give it to other people too. And like, just figuring it out. And so I love the mindset, and I'd love to just kind of share your story a little bit on why you're doing this and kind of what your perspective is on how you're trying to grow your business as a fairly new person in the business.
Yeah. So like you said, I come from a unique position where my income makes up for me being able to go out and launch this business that I'm creating. So I'm not starving. I don't have to do this. I'm doing it because I'm passionate about it. But there's a few points that you brought up. One of the points that you brought up was leads. I did briefly try Final Expense, like basically buying leads and calling Final Expense leads, which is a horrible thing to do. You're buying leads, and then you're told to call these people 3 times for 3 times a day. So you're calling these people 9 times a day, trying to get them to answer the phone because you're trying to help them get a life insurance policy. And it's the biggest BS scam because not only are you calling them 9 times, but so is 10 other agents. So these people, all they're doing is their phone's just blowing up. And it's such a disgusting way to approach sales and like the whole boiler room mentality. It's horrible. Yeah. And not to mention, even if you do close these people, they're probably gonna lapse on their and you'll have a
chargeback.
It's chargeback. It's horrible. Like that's not the way to do it. So like I said, I come from a unique position. I think personally that if you're gonna be a steward of people's money, if you're gonna recommend them do something with their money, you either have to understand the product fully and understand it, how it fits in with their finances, or you have to have a mentor that has the client's best interests in mind, but you also have to trust that mentor that they know what they're talking about, right? Because the problem that we have right now is there's all these IUL agents and they have no idea how the product works. Their uplines have no idea how the product works, and they're just pushing and peddling this BS and all this retirement LERPs and just a bunch of stupid crap. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like there's no math. There's nothing behind it makes any sense. It's not based in science. It's not based in logic. It's not based in reality. Like these people need to knock it off. Like, and that's another thing. Like when I'm dealing with clients, I'm trying to think of ways why they shouldn't get this product. And I know that's that's counterintuitive, but it's like, I don't want to have so much confirmation bias where this is the only product that you need. I'm constantly thinking of other ways that they can achieve their goals as well. And so one of the things that I'm doing is I'm working on educational platforms. I'm growing a YouTube channel. You can find it on YouTube. It's Charles_SHF. And basically my philosophy is a person should come to their own conclusion. I shouldn't be selling them anything. What my goal is to present them the facts and try and be as unbiased as possible so they can make their own decision. And if they want to move forward with the policy with me or anybody from Life 180, then awesome. But really, I think that it's so much more important because it's such a big financial decision. And this is like a financial decision that's going to last throughout your entire lifetime, that you do need to be educated and you do need to understand how these things work in your life and the different ways that they work so that it can impact your life that much better.
I love it. That's amazing. That is amazing. Actually, I have so many things I want to say, but I can't because I need to get to I need to get to Michael. And then we'll continue. So, Michael, you you came from the other side of the street, right?
Yep.
And here we are.
Former VP over at the FFL company. So I'm very familiar with both warm market and leads, right? And I'll tell you this, because the leads were such junk, it got to a point where for my team, I would actually tell them, hey, don't buy any leads before talking to me. And then there was like a boot camp training that they would go through, but the boot camp gives them a discount and tells them, buy the leads, buy the leads, buy the leads. And they would still buy the leads before talking to me. So I actually got to the point where I wouldn't even share their training at all. Like it got that bad. So I had zero alignment with that company where I was at. We did build a multi-million-dollar agency somehow, even with that misalignment. But yeah, I think everything works a little bit, right? And I definitely am 100% aligned with the way you do things. That's what attracted me to come over and meet with you guys. But I like to. So I tell people like, I'm not your coach, I'm not your or I'm not your manager. I'm your mentor, right? And I like to walk things through it. So, like Charles was saying, he bought leads and it was final expense leads, and that deal you get a lot of chargebacks. I had $60,000 of roll up debt hit me. Yeah, it's like that's the kind of world that's how you end up in, because it's all transactional. It's all like one call closes. Their leads, there's no relationship there.
Yeah.
And so they don't know who you are, right? And not only that, but you're not even selling the best products anyway. It's a lot of simplified issue stuff. So
Sure.
it's like I tried my best to not teach them, like the agents I brought in, any of that stuff. But of course there's other opposing views that they're hearing. So I kind of had a mix, but I'll say this: if you just think about the market you're in, think about who buys final expense, for example. The older people with money. No, they don't care about a $10,000, $20,000 policy. They're looking for long-term care. They're looking for annuities. They're looking for some serious stuff, right? It's the market you're selling to is the people on fixed income, the people that haven't saved $1 in their entire life. They can afford $60 a month, and that's today, because when inflation hits them next week or next month and they want to buy some bread at the store, well, guess what? You got to charge back. And if it's an agent below you, you got roll-up debt, right? And so, you got to start to think like a business owner, right? Not just listen to what you're being told, but actually start to think things through, right? And so if I can further expand on thinking things through, when you start out, what's the best way to learn? Well, the best way to learn is your warm market. I truly believe that. And then down the road, what's the end game? Well, the end game is to have a book of business where you can work off referrals, your warm market, right? So the beginning is the warm market and the end is the warm market. Think about what leads are, right? They're just an open door. They're kind of in that middle ground to help you build that book of business, but they shouldn't be something you're reliant on, right? Like you should be working on systems, expanding your market through your own marketing. And I think Gary Vee said it best. He was talking about investing in Apple and Google. He goes, whichever AI wins out, whether it's Siri or I forget the other one, Alexa. He said one of them's going to win out, right? And he goes, think about when you say, "Hey Alexa, get me a lawyer." And he was talking to a group of lawyers. He goes, think about how much it's going to cost for that lawyer to have that spot, right? Where you ask Alexa and it gives them your name. Now, he said you have to brand yourself to a point where they don't ask for a lawyer. They say, "Hey, Alexa, give me Michael Garcia." Right. And that's what the YouTube channel is doing. It's branding, because just like I followed Chris, I watched videos. And so like I knew exactly who I wanted to talk to. Right. I knew exactly who was the expert who would actually tell me the truth, who would break the IULs down. And I sold IULs for 4 years and built that agency on IUL. So for me to do a 180, it was definitely a lot of conversations, uncomfortable conversations, and some people were just shocked, right? But and not that I'm not dissing IUL completely. There's some cases where it might make sense, right? But it's not what it's being sold as, and that's the big thing. So I think, like I said, if I can encourage anybody in this listening today, the one thing I would encourage is just start to think like a business owner. Think critically, right? Think things through with the end in mind, and then kind of reverse engineer. Because if you think things through with the end in mind, you're going to start to realize that, hey, this whole lead thing with all these chargebacks, this never ends, right? Like, am I here to be in the rat race, or am I here to build my freedom? And you might get different answers if you ask different questions.
For sure. No, and here's what I'd say. What it all comes down to, I don't care if it's about friends and family, if it's about leads, if it's about anything in between. Whatever you're doing, whatever your methodology is to get in front of people, that is not as important as what your mindset and your heart set is and what your objectives are, right? Like, and so my challenge with all these things is, and Matt Seibert and I have, for a year been working on a sales presentation. And for me, I am like, I've always been anti-sales presentation. And not that, I know that sales presentations are kind of required for newer people just to learn and process and whatever, and just kind of go through the reps. But at the same time, I feel like when the sales presentation is what's being leaned on to sell something, well, then you're trying to fit everybody into this one like kind of path, you know, and it's like everybody's getting funneled to this one end desired result. And so that's not really you solving their problems. You're trying to position this presentation. And I just know all the ones that exist out there about IUL that are like, here's the problem. The problem is 401ks are horrible and the government's got control of your money and taxes are going up and blah, 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 all these things. And so you take your money out of your 401k and put it into an IUL, and all your problems are going to be solved when you have tax-free income for the rest of your life. And nothing could be further from the truth. And they're just kind of positioning this as financial education because they show the history of the stock market. They show, like, I agree with 90% of things that they say in the presentation regarding the economy and the market and the returns and inflation and taxation and all these different things. The problem is the way it's positioned and the way it's rolled out and like kind of what the intended use, when you understand this stuff well enough to be able to see it, you can kind of see through all the garbage and you understand that like, oh, they're just trying to guide people to this result. And I think it needs to be genuinely our job. And this is just the way I look at it. Your job as a life insurance agent, whether you're talking to a lead that you paid for or friends and family, and I'll openly acknowledge this can be harder if you are working with friends and family. What makes it easier when you're talking to friends and family is when you can say, I'm doing this. And I just had this epiphany and it's changing my life and I want to share it with you. I don't know if it's going to be right for you, but I want to share it with you because it's working for me. If you're not your own best client, then I just believe you're probably not going to be successful. You know, so I just believe it's our job to just share things with people, right? To share information and education and ask critical questions and have these crucial conversations that get people to think about things in a way that question what they're doing, get outside of the confirmation bias, and get into a state of mind that's saying, where do I want to go? What do I want my life to look like? Is what I'm doing right now going to get me there? How do I know the answers to those questions? And is my money in alignment with my values and my beliefs? And when you get people to think that, I don't think there's a good or a bad way to do anything. I think, you know, if you want to do a 401k, I would never do it. And I could list off all the reasons I would never put my money in a 401k because of my values and beliefs. I don't know your values and beliefs. So for me to tell anybody that you should never do it, you know, I think that would be the most arrogant thing of all time. You know, for me to go out there and say something like, here's what I do. I preach long enough and loud enough and passionate enough and strong enough. My only goal is to find friends that share my values and beliefs, because I know when I do, they're going to want to do what I'm doing. Like, it's that simple. And it doesn't need to be more complicated than that. You know what I mean? And so, like, I would really encourage everybody, guys, your chats are funny and they're so distracting. It's hilarious. I just encourage everybody to that's in this business to really think about it in those terms. Like, I encourage you and challenge every agent in the world to think, am I practicing what I preach? Am I doing what I need to do? And that doesn't mean you have to go get this monster life insurance policy. It just means you have to, like, really get clear on what your values and beliefs are, what you want to accomplish, and reverse engineer that and go there. And what are those values and beliefs? For me, we don't have time to get into it in this video. I've done videos on this before, but I feel like the conversations around the technicals of whole life and IUL, right? Like the people like Brian, who's always on here talking to us, the reason that he and I are never going to agree is that we have probably a disagreement in some of the values and some of the beliefs, you know, of what we're trying to accomplish. And so therefore, if your values and your beliefs differ even slightly in some areas, the desired solution is probably going to be different. And so I will preach very much absolutely about everything I do. He will preach very absolutely about what he does. And it doesn't mean either one of us are absolutely right. It just means the people that align with what I'm doing and what you guys are all doing are going to absolutely be in alignment with who we are and what we do. And so it's going to be right for them. And then, you know, as long as he's being honest and upfront, which most IUL agents are not about their stuff, he claims to be. But, you know, I invited him down to the Dominican to come do a debate. So hopefully he takes me up on it. You know, but like at the end of the day, as long as there's transparency and clarity, and my thing about IUL is I just don't believe that anybody goes through that full transparent conversation about what this is and their values and beliefs and understand what they're doing, and then follows through with the purchase of the product, because it's actually so out of alignment with how it is sold. That's why I have my new book, IUL Exposed: The Truth About the Most Misrepresented Financial Product in History, coming out, right? And so, fun little plug.
Can't wait.
I know. I actually wrote, I spent like 3 hours the other day writing in that book and just going through and tightening it up and doing all that stuff, because we got some fun stuff. Guys, everybody watching, nobody here is allowed to talk about it, but we got some fun things in the works that are going to shake it up. It's going to be fun.
Can't wait.
So anybody have anything they want to say to all this?
I mean, what you said is so true. It's so simple. And I've been in this industry for 10 years, but I've been with companies that I had to conform to their ideology. And what I realized is there was always something in me that felt off. And now when I step back and learn from you and how you view things, I realized that it wasn't in alignment with what I believed. I just didn't know what it was. I couldn't label it. I couldn't figure out what it was. And then when I understood the concept that you shared, I realized, oh my gosh, it's so simple. That's what most agents suffer with. And I think 90% of agents quit this industry. I think that could drop down significantly. And that's because a lot of agents, they join companies where they're not in alignment with what they're doing. They feel off. They feel something's not right. I'll do it just to make money, or I'll do it for the wrong reasons. And, you know, as a goal, like I want to turn that number around, and I want to provide transparency for people that want to get into this industry, because I really love this industry, and I think it's getting a bad rap, and people have a bad taste in their mouth, and they quit this industry all for the wrong reasons. And I just want to expose all that. So I'm just excited what we're doing and what we're building. And I can't wait till when we launch a lot of our projects that we're working on. It's
going to be exciting.
Crap.
Yeah.
So Logan Hertz on LinkedIn asked, and I can't respond in the chat because the chat doesn't actually type back to LinkedIn, only Facebook and YouTube, but I can see the LinkedIn chat. So I'll put it here. Has anybody found a lead gen service that actually works, that provides good leads, and that they're, you know, well, that they convert?
I mean, that's a loaded question, because then you'd have to identify, what do you mean by works? Depending on what company you work with, their definition of works is completely different than another company. I would be wary if you're going to buy leads, do a lot of research, have a lot of proof. That usually, you know, I've just seen a lot of lead vendors maliciously game the system. They'll give you your first batch and give you really some good high intent leads, and you'll have success and motivate you to buy the second batch, and the second and the third batch are totally dead. And so when you generate leads, you realize how these lead vendors can manipulate that. So really the question is, do you trust the lead vendor? Because they can totally manipulate it. Regardless, this what we're doing, everybody needs to move towards creating organic leads, because come June, when this new lead regulation starts kicking off, you can't buy age leads. It's just going to change the entire lead game. So if you're relying on leads, your business is at risk right now. You need to start thinking of some alternative plans for sure.
I love it.
So just add to that, the number one lead gen service is you, and what we've been talking about this entire time. I know that sounds a little cliche, maybe not what you want to hear, but so I've been generating, like my whole marketing business is built around generating leads. And I could tell you 15 different ways to generate leads. Right. But when I read that comment and he says, he's asking, has anyone found a lead gen service that actually works? That indicates to me that you've probably gone through quite a few different lead gen services, and you're seeing the same issue over and over again. And here's what I tell my clients. Like we run Facebook ads, we've got direct outreach systems, just depending on what business they're in and what they're trying to accomplish. But so one of the complaints that I'll get sometimes is that the leads are crap because they're not picking up the phone and it's hard to get people on the phone or whatnot. And here's the thing. It's not that the leads are bad. They just don't know who the heck you are. Like just because they requested a lead magnet, like a free guide or a checklist or something like that, it doesn't mean they're ready to get on the phone and be sold right now from somebody that they don't know. Right. That's why like the attractive thing about something like Facebook ads or buying leads is that you have people to call right away, like right now. Okay. That's the benefit, but there's always give and take with these things. The con and disadvantage of that is that these people have no idea who you are. You don't know who they are, right? They have no reference to, like, very, very little reference to what you provide, what you can do for them. And a lot of the services that sell leads, like, you don't know how those leads were generated either. Right. So I'm not saying not to buy leads, I'm not saying not to do Facebook ads or anything like that. But I'm saying if it's an issue that you're having over and over and over again, at some point you need to make the decision to take control of your own lead generation and start sharing your expertise with the world. Pick a content channel. It doesn't have to be YouTube. You could start a podcast, you could start a blog. I don't care what it is. But if you consistently share your expertise with people, you answer questions that people have, they're eventually over time going to find that content. They're going to see you as the expert. They know who you are now. They're going to reach out to you, book the appointment. And that's a whole different conversation at that point. They know who you are. They know exactly what you do, what you can do for them. Oftentimes, you just need to answer a few questions, point them in the right direction, and it's done. Right. But it's because you took the time to provide value, education, knowledge, expertise up front, even though that's going to take a little bit longer than something like buying leads or Facebook ads. If you put that time and effort in 6 to 12 months, you're going to have a lead generation machine that will generate the best leads for your business for the rest of your life. I have leads that come in from my channel from videos I did years ago, and it still generates leads, appointments, customers, and clients. And I did that stuff years ago. So if you put the time in now, I think you mentioned it earlier, Chris, or somebody did, the best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. The next best time is today. Well, if you start today, 6 to 12 months from now, you're doing it consistently, you're never going to need to buy another lead ever again. You're never going to need to ask that question ever again, because you have this system that just brings in the leads because people find so much value in what you're providing. That would be my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. I want to get on something Matt was talking about. And I look at the comments here. Mike German said, many, many great points today. Always enjoy hearing perspective from all corners of the business, not just one MGA solo. And I like to, like I said, I like to get people to think for themselves, right? And I think Robert Kiyosaki's like all about that. And you want, from a lead generation, you want something that you have control over, not just something that you blindly give money over and someone else has all the control, right? Because risk is when you lack control or you don't know what's going on. So you definitely want to have that control. What that looks like, I'm not 100% sure what that looks like for you, but that's something that you could walk through, right? But even from, like how you want this business to look, like I always like to ask people, like, did you get into business to work for the MGA or the IMO that you're with? Or did you get in business to build your own agency, to build your own freedom? And I have yet to have somebody say, oh, I got recruited to work for WFG. I got recruited to work for PHP. It was always for their own dream, for their own business. Right. And if we can establish that, then we can understand the MGA, all that stuff doesn't matter. Right. Like what matters is how can we push your business forward? And let's take a critical look. Right. And so from that perspective, if you have a mentor telling you what to do, it's not a mentor. Right. That's a manager. That's like, hey, this is what you need to do. And you need to have somebody who's going to walk you through and think things through. Right. Because I have a lot of experience. I share that experience, but I don't tell anyone what to do. I share, hey, this is what's worked for me in the past. But ultimately, people have different characters, people have different personalities, and it's like, okay, how do we make this work for you? And if you don't have somebody like that in your corner, I mean, ultimately what I love about this business is you're creating your own thing, right? Period. And that's how it should be. And it shouldn't be conformed to anybody else's vision. It should be your vision. And if you can get clear on your vision, you'll never quit this business. You'll be passionate about it. You'll make it work, and you'll be successful. I promise. But you got to get clear on what your vision is.
Love it, man. That's awesome. Anybody else have anything they want to end with?
One last thing, just real quick.
I knew you couldn't help.
He said Chris has given the pass with the lead and recruiting strategies of corporate WFG. However, there are many of us that work on our own principles. So the last thing I want to say is you work on your own principles because you don't agree with the principles of WFG. Then why are you with the company? And
Why are
that's
you aligned
a
with
really
them?
big problem. You shouldn't be in a company if you can't align with their principles. If you have to do something else, you should not be with that company. That's all I got to say because I don't want to go on a rant.
I like that though. That's good. Well identified. So, no, that's awesome. Well, hopefully, the goal. This video went a little differently than I thought it would go. I guess this guy, whoever he was, what was his name? John Cent. Although that's a burner.
The burner
not
comment.
even really. The guy who was, too much of a coward to get on his real account to have a conversation, he had to hide behind an alias online. That guy, so it's just proof he's a troll. So I let him get to me a little bit, but he was also making comments that I think needed to be addressed to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And I just, whatever. But hopefully everybody found value in this. Like I can't express like how important I think this stuff is. What we do, I truly believe what we do has more of an ability to impact the future of the world than almost anything else, because money is a foundational component to everybody's life that we have to have an understanding with. We have to have a good relationship with. We have to have good behavior around. We have to have systems in place that make it so we're going to have the next generations taken care of, and not just giving them money, but teaching them rules, getting guidelines and systems in place that make it so you can go from being wherever you are in life right now to guaranteeing a specific result and making sure your family, all of your family, are millionaires. Everybody in this world, no, I don't care where you are right now, everybody in this world has an ability to do that. You cannot do that on a guaranteed basis without doing the things that we're talking about. And so to me, that's like, I can't think of anything more important than that. And when we're talking about, I get it. I talk about IUL probably more than anybody in the industry that doesn't sell IUL. And I'll say that, like, that conversation is a bit of the noise, that we shouldn't necessarily be spending so much time talking about that component of it. But when there are so many people talking about that, they're like, I just feel like people are getting hurt so much. It's just this like balancing act. And so hopefully, this one video, like what happens is people watch these one videos and, one video, it's the first time they see it or, whatever. And so they draw conclusions. Anybody, if you're here for the first time, I encourage you to subscribe, hit the bell, get notified. We're going live as a group every single Wednesday. Matt and I go live every Thursday. I have videos coming out the other 5 days of the week. So we literally got content 7 days a week right here, all geared around education, all geared around helping you communicating with your clients. If you're somebody who's looking to do this, it's really geared at you really understanding this stuff so you can make a more informed decision for yourself. So make sure you subscribe, check it out, follow along, do all that stuff, share it with people if you think it would be helpful. And that's it. We'll see you next week.